Chodov Mall. Once a thriving hub of commerce, now a Phoenix stronghold. I'm going to be playing 100 raids of this. I apologize for the lag right off rip. I was using a software that was just poor. We'll highlight the ups and downs, and don't worry, there's plenty of action like what you're about to see here. There's a player up here opening fire at these NPCs, or scavs. I see him, and I try and push up, but the lag... Oh... Yeah, it gets fixed eventually, but I assure you, there's plenty of action and success and plenty of failures, like you're about to see here. It's a VR extraction shooter and is very, very difficult. While I show some of these earlier games and simpler things, I might as well explain how this game works and what it is. This game is essentially VR Escape from Tarkov. If you don't know what that game is, I would recommend keeping it that way. It's not really something you want to dive into. Here, I died to an NPC. Ghost of Tabor is essentially an extraction shooter. In these, you tend to get loot, kill some enemies to steal their loot, and extract through one of the various points. Now, I can't get out right away because it takes time for those points to open, so it incentivizes you to go out and steal or kill other players' loot. On the flip side though, this tends to not work out as well as you'd think. Killing players sounds great until you realize that they tend to have more killing power than you. Like this guy, he jumped out of nowhere with an assault rifle and death. I do get plenty of kills and action in this video, but you'll just have to be patient. For now, I'm more so demonstrating how this map works. Like these group of stores over here I like to usually rotate through. This map has some strong enemies and therefore strong gear. I really wish I could use the M4, but it was empty of ammo. However, another player waltzes into the store while I'm getting myself situated. I tried to use this mesh as cover, but it wasn't cover. If you see me spawn with a handgun or other gun with these raids, it's part of the game. A lot of extraction shooters allow you to bring gear that you got out from prior raids into the next one. In practice, it just makes it feel like it's more unfair to die, but on the flip side, it does make it a lot more fun when you're the one who's dealing the damage. Chodov Mall was actually the map I chose because of this reason. Yes, I hardly bring anything into these raids, but you can get out with a lot of gear, like ARs, heavy armor, etc. I'll keep explaining things when it's relevant, but for now, we're just going to keep doing rotations of these stores. You'll see me grab a lot of AKMs just because I really like the weapon. From there though, it's just looting. There's NPCs, but if players are gone, it's really boring. But there was one guy left, which had us do this really cool stair battle. I should specify this as me ducking. I crouched in-game and in real life. Players drop dog tags on death. I didn't see any on them. I thought for the longest time it was just a scav, and a really tough one at that, but it got me my first extraction, with some really qualitative gear. From this video, I had an extraction rate of 18%. At least you get an after-action report where I found out I did in fact kill a player. I found this group of players the next raid. I am talking to them, you just can't hear me.
We're coming for you.
True to their statement, I got ambushed shortly after. If you're wondering why I'm not bringing ARs or other heavy weapons, it's because I don't want to lose them through a death. I know some people will call that gear fear, but I don't want to lose what I earned, man. That's not fun. This man had been giving me some trouble for quite some time, so I blasted with my pistol and ran out. I was going to go try and find another gun if I wasn't bleeding. Oh, on to the next one. Sorry if you see me blast through a bunch of raids, but there really isn't much to explain for things like this. Guy and his buddy are really armed, and it goes the way you'd think it would. One of the biggest problems with this map is no footsteps. I should have heard this guy coming up the escalator, but I didn't. You'll see it be a recurring thing. Got my hands on a bison the next raid and went really aggressive with it. Like, really, really aggressive with this. But even still, death comes and goes in breaths. Here's another funny death. I start off with an SKS and eliminate these two guards up in a store. However, while looting, I didn't know that the boss spawns right there. This map has two bosses, and one of them was right there. I'm trying to hide from this guy, hoping it doesn't see me because I don't have any gear, but it didn't really work out. Boss gear is really insane. Like here, I heard a grenade get thrown and decided to push up. I see this body lying outside the bathroom and think there's a guy right inside. I'll let this clip play for itself. I genuinely got scared there. Next raid I heard some gunshots echoing down the hallway over here. A pile of gore and a player, and I'm not sure why he didn't fight back, but here we go. No shade to that guy, but looting in the open is a death sentence. It happens to me a good bit. From there, it just became a kind of boring Chodov Mall raid. Not much really happened aside from me going around and killing scab NPCs. But with a lot of gear, I got my second extraction. Felt really good too. If you're wondering where all the lag went, I just tweaked some settings to make it all go away. It was just that easy. Here's what happens when you're not looting and somewhere secluded. Trying to put some ammo modules and a single bullet is all it takes. Next raid was no better. Bad handgun and minimal ammo. Alrighty, next raid, got a Makarov, feeling hopeful. The following raid, I got myself a lovely AR and decided to push on this guy I saw moving around in the store ahead. I think he had a buddy or two, but it didn't really matter. Because after I retreated, these two were here to scare me and force me back into position. I was seriously wounded, so I did the only thing I really could. Push. Poorly. This gunfight that happened next is pretty nice, but unfortunately I had tweaked my settings to see if the wider FOV would have been able to be tolerated. Oh yeah, you can definitely feel it. In this last bit, I flick onto this guy, but no. I turned my settings off after that. Who's that? I don't recognize him. I fired some shots at him trying to be careful before realizing that's one of the bosses. I hugged some angles pretty well and eventually do manage to topple him. His armor was mainly what I was after due to it being thick, and his street sweeper, well, it's there. I took 0 chances on fighting anybody else from there. I had a GPU, boss gear, it was a good raid. Next raid I tried pushing this guy before seeing his really geared buddy. I attempted to call out and surrender. Yeah. This one's just embarrassing. How can we be missing all those shots? Come on! Started the next raid with this nice, easy kill right off rip. I heard some gunshots over here, so I take care of the player there, before knowing he had a buddy, and reloaded to deal with him. Then I spotted out of the corner of my eye some boss gear lying next to this guy. Armed with the gear of champions, I was then struggling against a single guy, and embracing Leviticus's words, I stopped using the bulldozer to drift, and went through the obstacle. I healed myself up before grabbing it again and... oh, I'm being followed. Oh, there's more of them. The first got shot behind the counter. This one decided to jump out. Alright, sure man. My adrenaline was pumping, so you can see me shaking like crazy. I think it would be a crime if I made you sit through all of the looting I proceeded to do, so we'll just cut right to the end. For Chodov, 6 kills is really good. Of course I can't have a machine gun every raid, so this next raid I fire at one guy and his buddy ended me pretty quickly. Then I found these two fine gentlemen in the next raid. Believe it or not, they actually closed that window in a patch soon after. I don't know if it was the same guys, but then this guy with an AR ended me swiftly. I tracked this guy down to the tech store in here. I lit him up and he somehow hit me pretty good. I went out on my own terms. Then I went to doing some longer range encounters in the next raid. A guy jumped out of that side and... yeah. Me and my buddy Marcus decided to get in a long range encounter next raid. You can get multiple people in a squad. And it often helps too. Marcus goes down before I realize I'm out of ammo. Marcus is great at extraction shooters, so he's going nuts here. Having multiple people in your squad can really help because you're in the same lobby as a bunch of people who would rock solo, so why wouldn't you bring a friend? It also lets me die and him persist, like here. I forgot to record the next raid, so I started recording mid-raid. I do this frequently, which is why a lot of raids, well, I played more than what are shown. I got some better gear and started to go on a long-range gunfight with these guys. I didn't know how geared they were, so when I started to take a little too much fire, I ducked inside one of these stores. There were at least 2 of them, and while I was trying to flank, I found one. Marcus had told me to check upstairs for anything unusual. Unfortunately, Marcus tends to be really bad when it comes to the escalators. They tried to keep pushing on, too. Marcus had died, so I made my way to extract and got jump scared by this guy. I would like to apologize to this man. This is one of 2 times I can recall off the top of my head that not having footsteps helped me out. Me and Marcus got a lot of kills, so sorry if I'm not showing them all. Marcus also has that Tarkov blood in him, so when he stands up like this, I feel a lot more safe than usual. Anywho, from here, we see some guy in a long-range encounter. We pincer him after he ducks inside. Wait, hold on. What are you... oh, get out of here, Goofy. Marcus confirmed the kill and grabbed the loot to meet me up. I decided to jump down onto the lower level to try and collect the spoils of the guy I had just killed. He looked pretty geared too. Then I collected his marvelous firearm. I gotta say, I love it when they have skins on the AKs. From here, we just go around and collect spoils of all the people who died in the mall. Pretty fun. 3 kills, not bad. I don't know why I keep trusting Marcus with escalators, but you can tell how this one would go. I never even saw him. Marcus usually runs whatever I run, so you won't ever see him with any high quality gear. We proceeded upstairs before Marcus got in this combat encounter with a random player. They ended up trading, which was really unfortunate. Skipping over the nonsense, I got all the gear I could and got out. Alright, this escalator clip was pretty funny, even Marcus was laughing at it after. Yeah, I don't know how you could go down any harder. I went down pretty soon after that. Next raid, I got a swift kill on this man, and I felt the effects of epinephrine. I'm not joking, they actually have that in this game. I found some pretty solid equipment, and since the extraction opened in literally 15 seconds, I just decided to sit it out. Nice. I'm a little sad that in this clip I pushed into these guys and not one of them died. In fairness, I didn't have a full mag. Marcus was behind me the next raid, and I don't even know what happened here. Arguably the most embarrassing raid was this. An SKS against scavs, and I just didn't put out enough rounds. Marcus got a knife next raid and stabbed these 2 poor souls to death. Then I was put in not a great spot. Another example as to why running with friends is good. Neither of us had armor and still managed to take out this guy. I found one of the bosses again, and while fighting him, a player ambushed me. Next raid, I found this random guy just right here. He was not going to be easy either. Sure enough, me and Marcus were between a rock and a hard place on this one. I chose the hard place. Did pan out. Found this pretty cool blade someone had brought into the raid and showed it off to Marcus. Afterward, I found a duo at the end of the hall. I let some shots rip and only managed to take out one of them. Marcus flanked and he died. If I didn't record this, you would not believe what happened next. I would like to take this time to apologize to this man. I am so sorry. The rest of the raid was pretty dang good. Next raid went okay. There's a guy with a machine gun right next to me and his buddies nearby. It went as you could expect. Next raid started with this kill on an unsuspecting player. Pretty good. I found this player over by one of the massive vaults. Hold on, wait a second. The vault was cracked open, so I swiftly dealt with whoever was left inside, and oh, wow, that's a lot of bodies. Vaults are essentially really, really good piles of loot, like unimaginably. The problem with them is that you need keycards to crack them open, and those in themselves are really rare. So with a lot of loot in hand, I got out. 4 kills ain't that bad for a Chodov Mall raid, but as I've said, death comes and goes in breaths. I reversed the roles the next raid and got the jump on this guy, but I still seem to not get the idea that looting out in the open is not good. Next raid started off with this quick, clean kill on this guy, and his buddy soon showed up after. I then went up some escalators and was reminded of how much ammo I had. If Chodov Mall has taught me anything, it's that encounters are either really fun or over before they begin. Even if I died, this gunfight was still fun. And this one, well, had to scavenge this blade out of a drawer next raid. And then I spotted my victim. I gotta be honest, this was a pretty Looney Tunes moment. These scavs saw me and I blocked with a shield, which apparently did not want to work. The boss inside the tech store spawned next raid, so I did my best to take him out. I was having a pretty good raid, got a GPU, some good guns, and got shot at from somewhere. I didn't know where, so I did my best to retreat, and I don't even know. Next match, a guy reared around the corner, blasted me, and I tried to get behind cover. Not well enough, at least. The next few raids I played a little slower and got some nice kills on some players. As I said, the fact that Chodov Mall has no footsteps can easily play in your favor. Got some solid gear and got out of the mission. Alright, this one made me a little mad. I started off by heading up here and taking out some of the scavs. Easy enough. Then I spotted the boss in the corner and went to shooting out his ankles. He takes a lot of ammo. For some reason the machine gun wasn't loaded, so when there was a player, I swapped to my AR, but even then, 2 shots? Like, I knew it wasn't invincible, but come on. Next clip runs a bit, so let me explain. These Zero Foxtrot enemies are where a lot of people get their gear from. They have thick armor, good helmets, and great guns. I then used this gun to eradicate this player and his buddy shortly after. Ran out of ammo, swapped guns, and he had given up. Wrapped up some looting just in time to get rid of this guy. I was doing pretty solid. Flew too close to the sun though, because in this next bit I take care of this guy. I then push up, and he had a buddy who was a lot better at aiming. I can't tell if I'm mad or laughing at this, but... Another example of the buddy system working well. This guy was trying to run out, and, well, regardless if it was his buddy or not, there was another guy down the hall who then proceeded to blast me. I couldn't get to cover in time. It does make me a little sad when people like this give up, especially when I miss all those shots. Oh, and here's a good example as to how alert you have to be to play this game. I hear a guy walk behind me for 1 step. I was just happy we traded, to be honest. If I do not bring gear, this spawn right here is next to 3 scavs, and it's very easy for them to do this to me. I hate this spawn. Certified Bison moment in the next raid. No, I'm not done. They took off, and I realized that they had dropped a G3, which had ran out of ammo. Tried finding them, but found a guy with some boss gear instead. However, I tried looting in the open. These next few raids I just breezed by easily. Like, what is there to commentate about this clip? Had an MP7. I don't like this thing because it's hard to control, but I did manage to kill a player with it at least. Then I went looking for trouble and I found it. I didn't want to deal with its consequences, so I got out. Afterward, trouble went and found me. Hey, here's a really fun one. This guy with an AR shoots at me. What happens next will shock you. If you're upset every raid does not have something cool going on, like, what is there to say about that? Unarmed man started firing at him and he took cover behind the chair. Waited it out and gunned him down. Then his buddy came over with an SMG and dropped this really cool assault rifle. Then I made the grand choice to loot in the open. And it went as you'd expect. I remember that Raid 72 is very boring. There were no player kills and I did get some equipment, but there's nothing interesting that happened. Just a solid raid. As I've stated, looting in the open is bad for your health. Here's another good example. This isn't even the worst one. There's a lot of things I could say next raid, but let's just say I turned my brain off. Okay, still looting in the open, but I use cover to my advantage, so I can blast this guy in retaliation. And apologies to these 2 folks who I just mowed down. The extraction wasn't open, so I had to go find more people. Got the kill and heard extraction open. I checked my ammo and health just to make sure I could waltz on over, and unfortunately, as stated, footsteps don't play in this map. We traded. I'm not happy. I'm really upset this guy somehow saw me through this crevice and just killed me that fast. I do not like the Mach 10, so if I'm using it, you already know it's not going to be a great raid. After the last clip about dying with the boss gear, someone pulled this maneuver on me in the next raid. This is definitely a certified Bison moment, but it didn't really pan out because I can't aim. I just wish it didn't show as much in this clip. There's a player who had flanked to the right, so I checked the left, but there's a buddy. I light him up with an SMG, run out of ammo, and switched my handgun. It's not favorable, especially when the guy wrapped around the corner from the right. Paranoia, while it is a little odd, does tend to pan out in your favor. I looked around and found this guy firing from the balcony, but I still died to him. As a way to prove to you that these raids are not interesting when I do not find any player kills, this is me doing the next raid. It is boring, long, and nothing interesting happens aside from me doing some odd looting, just going around. So much so that when extraction happens, when I see this, it's the only thing that stands out from this entire raid to me. Still, an extraction is an extraction. Then the next raid, I think I brought in this AKM and spot this duo running around. I opened fire and they returned fire. First individual down, gotta go find his buddy. I approach with caution, trying to find him. Oh shit, he's right there. How did he not kill me? What? I have not satisfied my bloodlust, so I continue to push into the tech store when there's a group of players that begin to open fire and shimmy around. I tried to eliminate these two NPCs to open up a flanking route. I tried to juke them, and then I got jump scared by someone on the stairs who I promptly then eliminate. What's surprising is that even after I eliminate the NPC down the hallway, they were still in the tech store. People like going to the tech store, but I don't see it as that desirable. So I just get out when I realize there is none of that desirable loot. It was a really fun combat raid, I gotta say. After all the mall raids, I think I got around 50 confirmed kills. Granted, to confirm a kill you need a dog tag, and I don't get a dog tag every raid because things like this happen. In the following raid, I was feeling pretty bold to try and take out this guy with some heavy gear. I retreat because he had gear, and well, in my defense, headshot with AP. I wanted to breathe in and out for this clip to show death comes in breaths, but it sounded so awful. I guess in this next raid, well, it was pretty funny. I see a player over here who I think was looting, and I couldn't even confirm if it was a player or not, so I just rip out some shots, hoping and thinking it was. Eventually I decided to push up to where I realized it was a player, but I didn't want to start looting, so I decided to look around to see if it was secure. There was a guy right here who started to loot, and well, what comes around goes around, alright? Let's be honest. You saw SMG versus AR, now get ready for handgun versus AR. Another clip I feel pretty mixed about. This guy comes up to ambush me in the tech store, but I remember to actually use the counter as cover, and guess what? He dies. Oh, at least in the next clip. What's funny, though, is that he has a buddy. And I'm pretty upset that he killed me through that slit. The beginning here is me firing at a player going down the escalator in the distance. Once again, I'm using the MP7, and you know how I feel about this thing, so you already know it's not going to be that great. Especially when I then decide to go around and, well, he's looting down there, so let's try our luck again with this. Oh man, that worked so bad. Killed a scav and went up this escalator before remembering there's guys up there. I realized I also don't have a gun. I brought in an AKM and some armor in the next raid, and thankfully I got this spawn so I don't have to deal with dying to handguns and scavs again. I quickly eradicate this man before I check my surroundings and see some players down there that threw smoke to get across an area. I tried lighting them up and chased them into a store where I got promptly eradicated. I'm upset. To be painfully slow is to be safe, and you can never be too safe in this game. Oh man, this guy had some really nice stuff. I hope no one comes with a double barrel. The piss poor control of the MP7 is highlighted pretty well here. Granted, my opponent is well geared and with a thicker caliber, but Here's another lovely drawn out clip of me walking to extraction. The garage one, no less. Nothing cool happened, by the way. I don't really like the Galil or AKMs because they're iron sights, but it can, well, sometimes work. This one just made me sad. I fumble the grip and start to blast this guy before he times perfectly to come around. I was pretty done dying pretty easy, and I knew I had few raids left, so I started to bring in some high-quality equipment like this M4 that's well spec'd out. Obviously, I don't run around like a bumbling idiot in these next few raids, so I move very slow and cautiously all throughout the mall, like super slow. And you know what? It pays off. I got down this player before his buddy started to approach and I was out of ammo. I ducked around to heal myself and reload. Make sure he's not approaching before I reach back out and started to blast again with more ammunition. He struck me heavy and I was bleeding, but I didn't want to risk bandaging while he approached, so I sat it out and, sure enough, got the kill. Oh, do you think that's an excuse to party? No, I still have to move slow. There's other people still around. I didn't feel like sifting through all the gear, so I just kind of toss it right here and leave the area. And hey, still pans out, because I managed to snag this one last kill before the raid was effectively over. The armor's good, so I usually wedge it in the bags, and I went to go grab the gear from those enemies prior. A bag randomly flew off, who knows where, but I grabbed the remaining bags and headed to extraction. Next raid made me pretty angry, even though I start with a nice kill. I went to the stairs because I heard gunshots, and sure enough there's some players looping down, but there's a guy with boss gear right there. Okay, yeah, sure, why not? I was not going to chance the guys below me coming up to attack, so I did my best to deal with them. The one problem with that is one of them was alive and I didn't know, so when I drag all my gear over, and nice gear too, well, I'll let it play for itself. I do not like AP rounds. I've had enough. It's belt time. This raid was about 26 minutes. 15 at least of those were spent slowly walking like this. And when I move slow and careful, it's harder for people to get the drop on me and kill me. Went down the stairs, saw a door open, and then this rat appeared out of nowhere. Oh no, he's not getting away. He dropped down, and because he couldn't hear me, he tried healing. Footsteps played in my favor. If you couldn't tell by now, those bells are the extractions opening up. Learning from my past mistakes, I dropped the gear down the shaft to not loot in the open. Oh, and technically it's a mole mask, not a rat, but, well, you know. His gear was also really qualitative, so I'll have to come back for it. I wanted to reload my gun, so I did it the only way I could reasonably do. You can't see them in this next clip, but there's a duo down there that is extremely well geared. After a lot of lollygagging, I eventually do come across them again. Well, that's one of them. Where's the other? I thought he was right behind this tarp, and sure enough, I heard some footsteps. I went in. Okay, heart's racing pretty bad. Let's get this loot out of the open and start looting. No, I do not apologize for that bit. I made the decision to bring in keycards because, well, why wouldn't I if I have the best gear possible? As a quick little loot rundown, magazine and food, one-shot energy chews, a magazine and water, keycard and handgun, night vision goggles, a lovely gun and some money, and another keycard. If I had to give the vault a rating, I would say it's probably around a 6. The single gun that isn't that great, but all the same, the keycards, it balances out well. I still had a backpack somewhere and I was running out of time, so I employed an age-old tactic I use where you just toss the bag. You use more stamina when you weigh more, and if you're holding a bag, it counts. You toss it? Not so much. Oh, and yes, I did not forget about the rat that I left his gear at the bottom of the stairs. I did my best to fit everything. It took a while, but eventually all fit together. The clock was ticking and I made my way upstairs. To be frank, I've never been in a raid when the clock does hit 0, and with this amount of equipment, I don't really want to find out. This raid hasn't seen that many kills. I mean, here, I'll show you, only 4 kills from that whole thing, but the loot was really good. I always like to set out my gear and take a photo of it after. The rat helmet fell through the floor, but you can see it was a really good raid. I initially thought this was my 100th raid and brought all the gear because, well, why wouldn't I? This duo right here gave me some trouble, and after a little bit of back and forth, I took out the cranium of this poor soul. At least his buddy went down swinging, popped out of cover without giving a scare. See, I don't know why last raid I understood, but why was it this raid that I decided to loot in the open? To my defense, I looked this way, and the instant I look away, there's a guy there with a machine gun. Thankfully he misses all my shots, but he was with 3 people. Death comes and goes in breaths. I was under the assumption I was playing extra rounds at this point, but I didn't want to go out on a bad note, so I brought another M4 to start off with a duel with this guy. Unfortunately, he had AP rounds, and I was not happy. Let's just go back to the classic with another handgun raid in Chodov Mall. It's fun. I guess to start to close, I'll say Chodov Mall is really fun. Combat heavy and extremely difficult without those footsteps, but still fun. I mean, you just saw all 101 raids. It was not easy, nor the funnest at times, but it definitely made for some fun times. To be completely honest, the only thing I really learned from this whole debacle was that these enemies in Chodov Mall are really strong and really good for getting some gear early into a wipe. Like, literally they can have ultons. I played safe for my final raid, and this loot right here was the best I got at all. It was picked pretty clean, but I still got some stuff. To end off, I want to thank you, the viewer, for watching. It's you who makes this possible, and though this is my first video, it was certainly fun, and I hope you enjoy the videos you watch. Hope you all take care. Peace. Yoink.